The wind howled across the frozen plain, carrying snow and ice in sharp, biting waves. 2 dragons lay chained to the jagged rocks, their massive bodies trembling in the cold. Their scales, once bright and strong, were dulled by frost, and their eyes, usually full of fire and pride, reflected only pain and fear. Every breath was a struggle, each exhale forming clouds that vanished into the endless white around them. The larger dragon, with scales as dark as night, tried to move, but the chains bit into his limbs. He growled low, a sound that shook the snow around them, but it did nothing to free him. Beside him, a smaller dragon, silver blue and fragile-looking, whimpered softly, its tail dragging in the snow. The cold was cruel and they were not used to being weak. Dragons were meant to soar through skies, to rule mountains and rivers, not lie helpless in chains on a world where death whispered in every flake of snow. Hours had passed, or maybe days, they could not tell. Hunger gnawed at their bellies and exhaustion pressed on them like a heavy stone. The larger dragon turned his head and looked at the smaller one. "Do you feel it?" he asked in a low, trembling voice. "The end is coming." The smaller dragon shivered, its wings folded tightly against its body. "I know," it replied. "I can feel the cold in my bones. I don't want to die like this." The larger dragon growled again, frustrated, not at the chains, not at the cold, but at the helplessness that bound them tighter than any iron. "We are not meant to die on a plain like this. No hunter, no enemy has done this to us. Only, this world does." They were silent after that, listening only to the wind. Snow fell in thick curtains, blinding them, and the sun, if it could be called that, was hidden behind clouds so heavy they seemed to crush the sky. Every movement was agony, and yet both dragons refused to close their eyes. There was a part of them that hoped. Perhaps death would come fast, perhaps it would not, but some small spark told them to wait, to watch. Then, far away, a movement appeared. At first, it was nothing more than a blur in the endless white, like a shadow that did not belong. The dragons turned their heads slowly, instinct and curiosity mixed with exhaustion. The larger dragon's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" he whispered. The smaller dragon squinted. I think it is walking," it said. Its voice was weak, but there was awe in it. "Something alive, moving toward us in this storm?" The dark dragon lifted his head higher, straining to see. The figure moved steadily, not stumbling, not falling, despite the snow and wind. It was small, far smaller than the dragons, and it carried nothing that looked like a weapon. Its steps were slow but confident. Somehow, the dragon sensed it was not afraid. The larger dragon bared his teeth, growling low. "If it is a hunter, if it is like the others, we cannot fight it like this. We are trapped." The smaller dragon lifted its head, watching the figure carefully. "It does not run," it said. "It does not hide. I think it is not like them. Not like the ones who left us here." The dragons had seen humans before, in stories and in raids, but never like this. Usually, humans ran at the sight of dragons or tried to trap them for glory, for gold, or for power. This one, walking alone in a storm stronger than most dragons could survive, was different. The figure drew closer, and the dragons could make out details through the swirling snow. It wore thick clothing made to protect against the cold, and its face was partly covered. In its hands, it carried something small, some tool or device that the dragons could not identify. There was no fear in its movement, only calm, deliberate steps that seemed impossible in the storm. The dark dragon growled again, but this time it was different, curiosity mixed with caution. "It comes to us," he said, his voice low and trembling. "But why? Why would a human walk into death like this?" The smaller dragon's wings twitched. "Perhaps it is not human in the way we know. Perhaps it has power, perhaps it can help us." The snow swirled, blinding and cold, yet the figure walked on, reaching the dragon's side without hesitation. The dragons tried to shift, to prepare, but the chains held them tight. Still, they could feel the presence of something alive, something brave, something strange. The figure knelt in the snow, carefully examining the chains. There was no fear, no rush, only attention, patience and care. The dragons watched silently, unsure what to do, their survival instincts mixed with wonder. This creature, small and fragile-looking, dared to approach them when all others had left them for dead. The dark dragon's growl softened. "What is this?" he asked the smaller dragon. "Why does it not strike? Why does it care?" The smaller dragon lifted its head, watching the human closely. "I do not know," it admitted. "But perhaps this is the first time a human has come to us not to fight, but to help." The wind continued to scream, snow continued to fall, and the dragons, chained and weak, waited in silence. For the first time in days, a flicker of hope warmed them, tiny, fragile, but real. A human had appeared, and in a world that had left them for dead, that alone was a miracle. The human moved closer, the snow crunching under their boots. They did not stumble, did not hesitate. Their hands were bare for a moment, brushing snow from the chains as if they were testing something. The dragons watched with wide eyes, their fears slowly mixing with curiosity. They had never seen a human act like this. Usually humans screamed and ran or tried to strike and kill. This one moved with calm, with purpose, and with something the dragons could not name. The larger dragon shifted in the chains, feeling the bite of iron in his scales. "It dares to touch us," he whispered. His voice was low and trembling, part fear, part disbelief. "It dares to come near when no other human would." The smaller dragon tilted its head. It is not afraid," it said softly. "It does not see us as monsters. It sees us as beings that can be helped." The human crouched beside the larger dragon, carefully examining the lock that held his chain. They muttered words under their breath, but the dragons could not understand the sounds. The words were not commands, not threats, not magic. They were just careful observations, measured and deliberate. The dark dragon narrowed his eyes. "Does it know what it is doing?" he asked the smaller one. "Does it understand the chains, the locks, the power that binds us?" The smaller dragon shook its head. "I do not know," it admitted. "But somehow I feel it can free us. I feel it in its presence. There is strength here, but it is not strength of claws or fire. It is cleverness, intelligence. Something humans have that we dragons do not always see." The human took a tool from a small pack on their belt and touched the chain. A soft hum sounded, and the ice on the links began to crack, spreading tiny fractures across the frozen metal. The larger dragon growled, alarmed but also hopeful. "What is it doing? Is it breaking the chains?" The smaller dragon's wings twitched in excitement. "Yes, I think it is. I have never seen chains break like this. Not even the strongest claws of our kind could do this." The human worked carefully, adjusting something on the device, and the chains began to rattle, then shift slightly. The dark dragon flexed his muscles, feeling the first freedom he had in what seemed like forever. It is freeing us," he whispered, disbelief in his voice. "A human is freeing us." The smaller dragon's eyes glimmered with hope. "It is not afraid," it said. "It has no weapon, no fire, no magic. Only its mind. And it dares to help us. Perhaps humans are more than they seem." The wind blew harder, snow stinging their faces, yet the human worked steadily. They did not look around, did not falter, not even once. The dragons watched silently, feeling a strange warmth growing inside them. In a world that had left them to die, a single human had come. And that human had the courage to reach out. The chains clattered and fell to the ground with a sharp sound that echoed across the snowfield. The dragons lifted their heads, feeling muscles they had not used for days. Freedom was not complete. They were weak and the cold still bit into them, but the first taste of strength filled them with awe. The humans stepped back slightly, letting them move. "Go slowly," they said, their voice soft but firm. "Take your time. You are safe now." The larger dragon lowered his head to the smaller one. "Do you feel it?" he asked. "We are free. A single human has freed us. How is this possible?" The smaller dragon flexed its wings. "I do not know," it said, "but I feel gratitude. And something else, respect. Perhaps humans are small, yes, but they have courage we rarely see. And cleverness that rivals our own." The dark dragon let out a low rumble, almost a growl, but it was not anger, it was admiration. "We will remember this," he said. "Whatever happens next, we will remember the human who dared to come to us, who dared to help when no one else could." The human moved closer again, placing a hand gently on the dark dragon's snout. The touch was soft, careful, respectful. The dragon flinched, expecting fire or a strike, but none came. Only warmth and trust. The smaller dragon inched forward as well, letting the human touch its snout lightly. The snow swirled around them, but for a moment the world seemed still. Chains lay broken, dragons were alive, and a single human had proven that even in the coldest, harshest place, courage and intelligence could change the fate of beings much larger, stronger, and fiercer than themselves. The dark dragon looked at the human, eyes narrowing in focus. "We are alive because of you," he rumbled. "And we owe you something greater than we can yet understand." The smaller dragon nodded, wings shivering with excitement. "Yes," it said softly. "Perhaps this is the first day of something new. Something none of us could have imagined. A human A single human has walked into our death and turned it into life. The humans smiled beneath their scarf, brushing snow from their face. Rest for now, they said. We have a long journey ahead. The dragons looked at each other and then at the human. Their chains were gone. Their fear was fading. And for the first time in many days, hope burned like a fire in their hearts. The snowstorm continued, fierce and endless, but for the dragons it no longer felt like the end. It felt like a beginning. The dragons stretched their wings slowly, testing the muscles they had not used in days. Freedom was sweet, but weakness still weighed on them like heavy stones. The human stood nearby, observing carefully, calm and patient. There was no hurry, no fear, only careful calculation. Every movement the human made seemed small, precise, but the dragons felt a strange sense of safety in it. The larger dragon shifted on the snow, feeling the bitter cold under his belly. We are free, yes, he rumbled, but I can barely move. I can barely lift my wings. How are we to survive this storm? The humans smiled faintly. We will take it slowly, they said. Step by step. You are not alone anymore. The smaller dragon looked up at the human, eyes wide with awe. You are not afraid of us, it said softly. Most humans would have run. Or tried to kill us. The humans shook their head. Fear does not help anyone, they replied. We need to survive. Together. The dragons stared at the human. They had fought humans before, battled them even, but never had they seen one who spoke with calm authority, who walked into danger without hesitation, who seemed to understand life in a way dragons rarely saw. The human moved closer to the broken chains, kneeling again in the snow. These chains were strong, they said quietly. Stronger than you may realize. But nothing is stronger than thought, cleverness and patience. The larger dragon tilted his head. What is this magic you speak of? He asked. We have felt no fire, no claws, yet the chains are broken. How? The human chuckled softly. Not magic, they said. Knowledge. Observation. Using what you have around you, and thinking differently. Strength alone cannot free you. Cleverness can. The smaller dragon lifted its wings, flexing them slightly. We never thought a human could do this, it admitted. We thought you were weak, small and fragile. And yet, you freed us when no claw, no fire, no dragon could. The human's eyes met the dragon's. Strength is not just muscle or size, they said. It is courage, patience and the willingness to act when others would wait. That is why I am here and why you are alive. The dark dragon's tail lashed the snow. I have seen empires fall, seen humans cower and fight, but never have I seen this. You are not like them. You are more. Something remarkable. The human nodded, still working with small tools, adjusting the locks and the remnants of the chains. A soft hum came from the device, and the broken metal groaned as tiny shifts began to widen. The dragons felt it, their muscles tingling as freedom stretched into possibility. The smaller dragon took a cautious step forward. Do you need us to help? It asked. I can try to move my claws. The humans shook their head. No, they said calmly. I need you to trust me, not to act yet. The wrong movement could make it worse. You must believe in me. The dragons froze, feeling the importance of the moment. Trust was not given lightly among dragons, especially not to humans. They had been hunted, tricked, captured, and left to die by humans. And yet, somehow this one had earned it with patience and bravery. Hours seemed to pass in silence, broken only by the wind and the soft hum of the human's tool. Slowly, piece by piece, the chains loosened further until at last the dragons could move without the biting metal holding them down. The larger dragon flexed his wings fully, feeling the power return to his muscles. It was painful, yes, but wonderful. The smaller dragon jumped lightly to the side, testing its strength. We can move, it exclaimed. We are free. The humans stood, brushing snow from their coat, and smiled. Not fully yet, they said. You are free from the chains, but the storm is still dangerous. Stay close and you will survive. The dragons nodded, realizing that their savior was not only clever but brave. To face this storm alone, to reach them, to work so carefully and patiently, this human was different. Perhaps humans were small, yes, and fragile, but their courage and intelligence could rival even the oldest dragons. The larger dragon lowered his head to the human. You have done what no dragon could have imagined, he said. You have freed us. Not with fire, not with strength, but with something greater. The human shrugged softly. I just did what needed to be done, they said. You did not deserve to die here. And I will not let you. The smaller dragon circled the human, wings spread slightly, eyes bright. I have seen a lot in my life, it said, but never a human like this. You are remarkable, brave, clever, and kind. The human smiled, brushing snow from the dragon's snout. Kindness matters, they said. Sometimes it matters more than strength or fire. You are strong, yes, but courage and care can change even impossible situations. The dragons looked at each other, then at the human. Freedom was real now, the chains were gone, and yet there was more to survive. The storm still raged, the cold still bit, but the dragons felt something they had not felt in many days: hope. The dark dragon's growl was low and steady, not of anger but admiration. We will follow you, he said finally. Through snow, storm, or ice, we will follow. You have shown us a path we never knew existed. And we trust you. The smaller dragon nodded eagerly. Yes, it said. We trust you. We are yours to guide, human. Let us and we will survive. The humans smiled again, looking at the dragons with quiet pride. Then let's go, they said. Step by step, together. The dragons lifted their wings, feeling the strength returning, and together human and dragon stepped forward into the storm. The snow whipped around them, the wind screamed in their ears, but for the first time, none of them feared the cold. They had survived chains, hunger, and death, and now, with trust and courage, they were ready for what came next. The snowstorm still raged, but the dragons moved more easily now. Their chains were gone, their muscles slowly returning to strength. The human walked in front of them, steady and calm, as if the blizzard was nothing at all. Each step they took was deliberate, careful, showing the dragons a path through the frozen wasteland. The larger dragon flexed his wings, testing his strength. I feel power returning, he rumbled. I can move without the chains. But this storm, it is still cruel. How do you manage it, human? The human glanced back, smiling beneath their scarf. Experience, they said simply. And paying attention. The storm can kill quickly, but if you notice the signs, move carefully and act wisely, it cannot stop you. The smaller dragon flapped its wings lightly, still unsure of the world. I thought survival meant strength, it said softly. But you survived this storm without claws, without fire. You survived with only your mind. The human shrugged. Strength is useful, they admitted. But cleverness, patience, and observation can save you where strength cannot. You dragons know power, but intelligence is just as important. And courage too. The dark dragon lowered his head slightly. Humans are underestimated, he said slowly. We have seen your kind in battle, in cities and empires. We thought you weak, small, fragile. Yet you face storms and death without fear. You face chains and suffering without hesitation. There is something in you, something more than we understood. The human paused for a moment, brushing snow from the dragon's scales. Humans are not perfect, they said. We are small, yes. We make mistakes. But we survive and we care. Sometimes caring is the strongest thing we can do. The smaller dragon's eyes glimmered. You cared for us, it said softly. Even when we were helpless. Even when we were chained and frozen. You did not leave us to die like everyone else. You risked yourself for us. The humans smiled faintly. I could not leave you, they said. It was wrong. I do not need a reward for doing what is right. But I do need you to trust me, to follow me, to survive with me. The dragons looked at each other, then back at the human. Trust was not easy for them. Chains had been broken before, and humans had often been cruel. But something about this human was different. Something about their calm, clever courage, their willingness to face danger for the sake of others. It inspired a trust that the dragons had never felt. The larger dragon took a careful step forward. I will follow, he said. Through snow, through storm, through anything. You have shown us a way we could not have seen ourselves. And we will trust you. The smaller dragon nodded. Yes, it said. We will follow you. We will survive with you. The humans smiled, leading them onward. Step by step, they moved across the frozen plain, navigating hidden ice patches and deep snowdrifts. Occasionally the dragons would slip or stumble, but the human was always there, guiding them, helping them, showing them where to place their claws and wings. Hours passed, though it felt longer. The dragons learned to move carefully in the storm, to conserve energy, to watch for danger, and to rely on the human's judgment. Slowly they began to trust not just the human but themselves. They remembered what it felt like to be free, to feel strength returning, and to see hope instead of despair. At one point, the smaller dragon spotted a hidden crevasse under the snow. It froze, unsure what to do. The human knelt and pointed. Step here, they said calmly. The snow looks solid but it is thin. Step there and you will be safe. The dragons followed, and the smaller one realized that the human's mind could see what the dragons could not. The larger dragon rumbled in approval. "Your cleverness saved us again," he said. "Not with fire, not with claws, but with thought and care." The storm began to soften slightly as the sun tried to pierce the clouds. The dragons stretched their wings fully for the first time, feeling the snow melt slightly under their warmth. They could see the world differently now. The snow, once a trap, now seemed a path. The human, once a small figure in the storm, was now a guide, a friend, and a savior. The human paused, looking back at them. "We are not safe yet," they said. "But we are stronger than before. And together, we will survive this storm and whatever comes after." The dragons flexed their claws and wings, feeling pride and hope return. "We are stronger because of you," said the larger dragon. "Not just because you freed us, but because you showed us how to survive." The smaller dragon nodded. "Yes," it said. "And more than that, you showed us trust. You showed us that even a small human can change everything. That is something no dragon can ignore." The humans smiled again, brushing snow from their coat. "Then let us move forward," they said. "Step by step, together." The dragons flapped their wings and followed, feeling the storms bite less sharply now. Step by step they learned the human's way. Step by step they trusted him. Step by step they were reborn not just as free dragons, but as creatures who had seen courage, intelligence, and heart in a being much smaller than themselves. The snowstorm still swirled around them, fierce and unyielding, but the dragons no longer feared it. With the human leading, with trust between them, they could face anything. For the first time in many days, hope burned bright in their hearts. And together, human and dragons moved forward into the storm, toward the promise of life and freedom. The storm began to weaken as they moved forward. Snow still fell, but the wind had lost its fury. The dragons lifted their wings fully now, feeling strength return to their bodies, muscles stretching and flexing like springs after a long winter. They were still weak, yes, but the worst was behind them. And with the human leading, they felt courage bloom in their hearts. The larger dragon lowered his head to the human. "We owe you our lives," he rumbled. "Not just for freeing us, but for showing us hope when all seemed lost. How can we repay you?" The human smiled faintly. "You do not need to repay me," they said. "I did what any being would do if they had courage and care. But if you want to repay, survive. What? Fly. And never forget what is possible when we act with heart and intelligence." The smaller dragon circled the human, wings brushing lightly against the snow. "I have seen much in my life," it said softly, "but never a human like you. You are clever, brave, and kind. You faced what no dragon could face and did not flinch. You are remarkable." The human shrugged. "I just did what was right," they said. "And now, together, we will face the world. Whatever comes next, we will face it as one." The dragons glanced at each other. Their pride was fierce, their strength growing, but now they understood something new. Humans may be small, fragile in body, but they had courage, cleverness, and heart that could surpass even the mightiest of dragons. The dragons had doubted humans before. Now they would never doubt again. The larger dragon spread his wings and tested the air currents. "We can fly again," he said with wonder. "The storm will not stop us. The snow will not hold us. We can rise above it." The smaller dragon leapt into the air, wings flapping steadily. "Yes," it cried. "We are alive. We are free. And it is because of the human who came to us when no one else would." The human watched them with pride. "Be careful," they said. "Do not push yourselves too fast. The storm is weak, but it is not gone. Step by step. Together." The dragons nodded and followed, rising higher over the snow-covered plain. Their eyes shone with gratitude and awe. For the first time they truly felt alive again. And they knew it was because of the human. Not strength, not fire, not claws, but courage, cleverness, and heart had saved them. They flew together for hours, the storm fading behind them. The sun broke through the clouds, casting pale gold across the white landscape. The dragons laughed, a low rolling sound that shook the snow beneath them. They had survived chains, hunger, exhaustion, and the cold. They had survived because of a human. The larger dragon landed beside the human, tail curling gently in the snow. "I never imagined this," he said. "A human, small, fragile, seemingly weak, has done what no dragon could have done. You are extraordinary." The smaller dragon nodded, brushing snow from its wings. "Yes," it said. "We will never forget this day. Never forget what you have done. And we will follow you wherever you lead. Because you are more than any human I have ever seen. You are something greater." The human looked at them with quiet pride. I am just one of many, they said. But together we can do great things. You are powerful, proud, and strong. I am small, yes, but clever. And with courage we can survive anything. The dragons rumbled in agreement, and for a long moment, the three of them sat together in silence. The wind had softened, the storm was gone, and the world stretched out before them, full of possibilities. The dark dragon finally spoke. We have been left for dead before, he said. Abandoned by humans, hunted, chained. But today we have learned something new. A human can be a savior. A human can be brave. And a human can inspire hope where there is none. The smaller dragon lifted its wings toward the sky. Yes. And not just humans but those who act with heart. Those who act with courage and intelligence. That is how the galaxy will change, not with fire or claws but with cleverness and bravery with care. The humans smiled faintly, brushing snow from their coat. Then let's continue, they said. Step by step together. There is much to see, much to survive, and much to do. And we will do it together. The dragons flapped their wings once more, rising into the air. The smaller dragon circled happily above, the larger one lifting steadily, and the human stood beneath them, looking up, small but unafraid. For the first time in many days, the dragons felt hope burn bright in their hearts. They had survived chains, hunger, and death itself. They had survived because a human had dared to act when all others would not. And now, together they could face anything. The wind carried them forward, over snow and ice, into a world that seemed less cruel and more full of possibilities. And the dragons knew with certainty that the human who had saved them was not just clever or brave, but extraordinary. A being who could change fate, even in the coldest, harshest place in the galaxy. Step by step, wing beat by wing beat, human and dragons rose together into the sky, into life, and into a future they would face as one.